Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, another group of Africans are on their way back to the third world. They've got the wake-up call, and they got till February of 2026 to get out of town. And who is this group, you might ask? Well, it's another group of Africans who claim they're superior to West Africans and to Black Americans, of course. They say they're from a great civilization, and one of them even called into a podcast, a Black American podcast, and said that the Ethiopians, the Habeshas, were not Black. They were not Black, that they were the lowest level of the white people. And I thought to myself, you really want to go that low? But anyway, it's the Ethiopians. Donald Trump is sending them packing.
The US has now officially ended temporary protective status for Ethiopian nationals. This means that thousands of Ethiopians living safely in the US now face legal uncertainty and have just 60 days to leave. And this doesn't seem to be an isolated move, as TPS for both South Sudan and Somalia was also recently terminated. After these cuts, Sudan is now the only African country still fully protected under TPS. However, some critics have argued that this sharp rollback of humanitarian protection leaves vulnerable communities at risk. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below.
Trump ends Ethiopian TPS protections, tightening refugee crackdown. Department of Homeland Security ended temporary protected status for Ethiopian nationals on December 12, 2025, affecting more than 4,500 people. Those impacted have 60 days to leave voluntarily, and Department of Homeland Security may arrest and deport individuals without status after February 13, 2026. The action accompanies broader 2025 policy changes, including refugee suspensions, asylum adjudication pauses, new fees, and detention expansions. Affected individuals should seek legal advice promptly. So the Ethiopians, who really have fancied themselves some form of white people, are now being deported if they are here with temporary protected status. And also, a lot of these people have fake visas. They came here on the fake visa status. And so that is going to have to be checked too. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said conditions in Ethiopia no longer pose a threat to the personal safety of returning Ethiopian nationals. She added that the country's situation no longer meets the statutory requirements for a TPS designation. This administration, she said, is acting to restore integrity in our immigration system. And that is a good thing because the integrity was gone. In the last administration, people were just walking in. I mean, just roads full of people walking up here in the country from anywhere and everywhere, not being vetted. Nobody knew where they came from and didn't know whether they were here for good or evil. So integrity definitely needs to be restored in our immigration system. The termination means Ethiopians who relied on TPS to live and work lawfully in the United States now face a fixed window to leave or find another legal path, even as many have built lives, jobs, and families during the program's run. Well, if you know you're here temporarily, why are you trying to build your life here? Department of Homeland Security said it may arrest and deport any Ethiopian national without status. And Nome warned that forced removal could also lead to bars on returning to the United States in the future. So, in other words, if they have to force you to leave, if they have to take you out of here themselves, then you won't be able to come back. So, in case you were wondering what TPS is and how it has worked for Ethiopians, Temporary Protected Status, TPS, is a humanitarian program Congress created to protect people already in the United States when their home country is hit by armed conflict, disaster, or other conditions that make return unsafe for a limited time. So if you're already here and your country goes to war, for instance, then you can get temporary protected status so you don't have to go back home when your visa expires. So they give you a temporary status to stay as long as your country is at war or there's a natural disaster or some other reason why you can't go back. But after those problems are solved, then a temporary protected status ends and you have to go home.
Trump ends temporary protective status for Ethiopians in America. Mass deportations are supposed to start January 2026. I haven't really heard Ethiopians ever really causing a problem, but we're supposed to be America first, so maybe this needs to be done. So what do you guys think about this?
Okay, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't hear a lot about Ethiopians. You don't hear about them scamming and cheating and beating their way. They're on welfare like everybody else, but not in high numbers. Now, this woman is giving them some advice about what to do if they are here on temporary protected status. Contrast this with the Somalis. Nobody's really coming to the defense of the Somalis. The Ethiopians and the Somalis, some say they are the same people, but they don't act the same. They don't act the same because the Somalis are very arrogant, very out loud with it, and, you know, just accused of all kinds of scamming and lying and cheating and beating. Whereas I don't think the Ethiopians have that reputation. But anyway, here is a lady advising the Ethiopians on what to do if their status runs out.
Send this video to your Ethiopian friend. Today, the Secretary of Homeland Security terminated TPS for Ethiopia, which means that those who don't have another status to fall back on would need to depart the United States by February 13th, 2026. So if you're an Ethiopian who just lost his or her TPS status, you have two options. You can either get another status that would allow you to legally stay in the United States or to self-depart. Some of the options to get a status would be to have a family member or a spouse or even an employer petition for you. In some of the circumstances, you might be able to petition for yourself. However, the most default and safest option at the moment would be to apply for asylum, but that is, of course, if you're eligible. However, you want to be careful with that and strategize your case as to not trigger any red flags that could result in detention and potentially deportation. Should you decide to depart instead, I suggest that you use the CBP Home mobile app to do that, because that way you can get $1,000 as a reward for self-departure. And if you are planning on leaving anyway, might as well just get that money so that you can put it to good use in the future. So
normally, I would feel bad for people having to go back to their homeland. They don't want to go back because they don't have the modern conveniences that we have in the United States. They don't make as much money. Their standard of living is not as high. So I kind of understand them not wanting to go back. What I don't understand is why people come to the United States feeling like it's okay to talk down on Black Americans. And I know all of them don't do that. I know they don't all do that. But too many of them do it. And the prime minister of Ethiopia was recorded as talking shit about Black Americans in Ethiopia, like he knows something about us, and he doesn't. And so now he's in a landlocked country. He has won a Nobel Peace Prize, and he can't even get along with his neighbors. They won't even let him use their waterways. So I'm just saying, people need to take a look at themselves. As they say, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. But anyway, the Ethiopians have lost their temporary protected status and they are to be out of here by February the 13th, 2026. And there are going to be more, especially people from Africa. And they still don't get it that nobody really wants African immigrants in their country. It doesn't matter where they come from. They think, well, I'm from Ethiopia, or I'm from Somalia, or I'm from South Africa, or I'm from Nigeria. None of them are wanted in other countries. And so this is a chance for them to go back home and try to make their own countries better since they claim their countries are so great. All right, y'all, let me know what you think about the video and have a good day.